Today we're heading to the headquarters of Homage, an iconic Columbus clothing company. We'll learn about how they capture the vintage look and feel in modern clothing through inspiration, design, and material. Let's check it out.
Hi, I'm Bobby English. I'm a designer here at Homage. Welcome to the HQ.
I'm so excited. Thank you for having us here. This is really the den of inspiration. So take me back. What's the origin story of Homage?
So our founder, Ryan Vessler, started it in his parents' basement actually in 2007. He always had a strong interest in vintage and the stories that were driven behind them. The quirkiness, the character, the distress, the fabrics, all of that comes into play when everything that we're into here. That core inspiration of vintage is carried into even current product that we're doing for the current NBA or the current NFL. Doesn't matter if they're a player that's playing right now or if they were a player that played in the 70s or 80s. We take it with the same approach. So let me go back and we can show you?
Love to.
All right, come on back.
All right. This is really cool and pretty overwhelming. Where do you draw your inspiration from?
Everything that you're looking at here. We've got posters, we've got actual vintage on the racks here that we will cycle through. We are scavengers on eBay and Pinterest, and we have our own boards for inspiration. So of thousands of pins that we're putting up. We're constantly surrounding ourselves, so we just kind of have this vintage ecosystem that helps us. When we think back into vintage, there was a core principle of design, and there's a way that they used to do things that made sense in terms of hierarchy and design and things like that. So those are the little things that we pay attention to that we bring into the new.
Got it, love that.
That might have fallen off over time. If you think about 90s or 80s, there's a lot of exploded, it's very large, so loud, you know, it's a statement. When we think about designing into a line for, say, like the MLB like that, we will carry that across all teams.
Once you find something really cool, you stretch it across like all baseball teams or all football teams.
Yeah, they might be the same, similar design, but they will always tie back to the team that they are referencing. So whether it be graphics that have distress on them, we build distress into our graphics as well.
Oh, no kidding. So
that it looks like that, yeah. There's kind of a breakdown that happens over time in vintage where the corners will soften, the print will soften or crack or fade. So we're really trying to be all-encompassing when it comes to the story of the graphic, not just what we're building into the art,
sure,
but how it lived over time.
How do you think about vintage stuff and working with older fabrics versus new fabrics? Talk about the materials of your work.
A lot of times when you find vintage that has just had a life of its own, it may have started out a little bit more coarse, but by the time it's come to you and you found it, it is nice and soft and buttery, and so that's kind of something that we try to replicate in our product. We think about it as the science of soft.
I really like that, and that phrase, the science of soft. So clearly technology has helped making fabrics really great, feeling good, but still having that vintage look, right?
Yeah.
Wow. I've heard that you still actually hand draw your initial graphics.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. Can we see some of that?
You want to check it out?
Yeah, let's go check it out.
So I've got some examples here of where everything starts from sketch, always in pencil on paper, to the final ink. And we use a range of tools from pencil to ink on different types of paper. Depends on what tools we're using, what kind of paper we'll like to use for it. Whether it's caricature or the Train to Hogwarts Express. And then here's some examples of hand-done type. And then the final ink over top of that. You know, crosses over even to music, where we've done some Outcast here.
So these are wonderful. As a designer, how do you go from the hand-drawn to the actual digitization of the product?
From here, we'll take the designs over to the scanner and scan them at a high resolution so that we can, you know, have enough information there. The higher the resolution we scan them, the more resolution it's going to retain and the higher quality. And then we'll bring those into Photoshop and adjust the levels and all that to get more contrast to make sure it's, you know, anything that is black gets printed. Anything that's white is transparent when it comes to screens. So we work both in Photoshop and in Illustrator. Illustrator is vector-based. With vector, you could take a vector design and blow it up to the size of a building or a billboard and not lose any resolution on that because it's vector-based. With pixel-based art, which is Photoshop, those are set amounts of squares that are making up that image. So if you zoom in on an image really close, you know that you're going to have the different colors of boxes, and then you zoom out and it's super detailed and clear, and the higher the resolution, the more of those squares. And then when we're coloring things up on the computer, we're referencing what's called the Pantone book, which is kind of the standardized color book that is used across the industry, both on the print side of things in books and things like that, but also on the fashion side when it comes to printing on fabric and things. So if we are talking to a vendor who is printing our product for us, we can call out a Pantone color, and they have a book with them that they can cycle through and find that color, and they know exactly what color we're talking about.
Once it's in the computer, how does it then get printed onto the material?
From there, we have a production team that breaks down all of our designs into screen form for screen printing, or they will prep it for a digitized printer. DTG, direct-to-garment printer.
Clearly an intersection between science and arts.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And we have to kind of understand how it's going to not just be designed on the computer, but how it's going to, what information is going to retain between computer to garment.
So there's usually a loss that happens?
There's a little bit. Sometimes you have to be mindful of, specifically for screen print, there is a thing called dot gain where the ink gets pushed down through the screen onto the garment, and there's each little detail that is being captured through the screen is a little dot. And when the ink goes through the dot and makes contact between the screen and the fabric, it will spread a little bit. So it'll have a little bit of gain, and things that are finely detailed and really close together might fill in.
Very artistic, but absolutely technical at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Very cool. Bobby, thanks so much for spending so much time and having me at your headquarters for Homage. It was really cool to see the entire process, from art creativity to hand-drawn stuff to the end point where you use technology to produce these amazing products. Very, very cool.
Absolutely, we were happy to have you.
If people want to find out more about Homage, where do they go?
Homage.com.
As we say, science is everywhere for everyone. We'll see you next time on Science Tour 614.